Oh, here we are again now, and it's like no time has passed. Gazing out upon the sunset as it sinks into the night. Many times it seemed as though a given day might be our last. Face to face with certain death, it's somehow coming out alright. I don't think that we have any cause to lament, but there's quite a lot of thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent.
And so, with Space Camp resolved, a quiet fell over Castle Crowhenge. The group split up throughout the castle, taking a moment to themselves. Though not expressly stated, there was a sense within the air that the castle was drawing ever closer to its destination, that it would arrive within the next day or two, plunging itself into the briny depths of the ocean. If Steel Point was going to do something, they'd do it soon. Yet the plains on all sides remained in that eerie silence, writhing with the hideous monsters drawn in by the tear. The castle itself, having found its new masters, remained oddly content, emanating an air of peace and safety that our group decided to indulge in for a few moments. Almost wordlessly, they split up and found themselves spread out throughout the castle. Gregor finding a gigantic, hulking figure and pulling him aside for a long-promised training session. Worried about her sweet cinnamon roll? Harlock followed afterwards.
I appreciate your company, Harlock, but I have no interest in killing Gregor. That would fail my attempt at training immensely.
To be completely honest with you, Ashen Knight, the environment that we're in speaks otherwise. And while I kind of always figured that it would come down to this in a setting like this, I'm glad at least Gregor's here. He's strong.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I'm not used to training over lava. It's usually poison spikes, but I think I can handle it.
No.
I think it's important to learn to adapt. He takes his sword and dips it into the magma and then pulls it out. And it's
starting
now
at phase
superheated
2?
and dripping magma. Gregor is well beyond phase 1.
That's a neat idea. Gregor ponders it.
No,
but
Gregor, it'll burn your hands.
Glaive is too
He
valuable.
transfers.
Yeah. Ashen Knight just kind of runs his hands through the magma. Yes, this is something you cannot do. Yet. But in time, perhaps. And that's why we're here. I need you to learn how to cut this. And Ashen Knight immediately brings his sword down towards Gregor.
Gregor is going to, well, he's already got his glaive out because he thought about dipping it, but he's going to whip it up and do his best to block the enormous sword because Harlock is still nearby.
You see this wave of heat with a giant mass falling behind it. Basically, it's like you're looking death in the face for a moment. You feel the fucking fury of a meteor raging towards your head, and you just do your best to bring your glaive up and block it to the side. You feel a satisfying sort of crunch in your arm as you manage to divert the course of the magma. But the strike carries through, and you're not even just lightly singed. You feel a wash of heat over your entire body. You get the feeling that if the Ashen Knight were trying to drive this blade home, he easily could have. A deflection here, while effective perhaps in saving Harlock, would not have saved you.
Don't worry about me again. I've survived worse.
Man, you have some stories, huh? I'll trust you on that. I don't think I can divert much attention to protecting someone right now.
That is not the goal with today's session. So, you can block steel. We've learned that, and we've known that for quite some time. I've seen in your memories you are a gifted swordsman. But I need you to understand how to cut magic. And he goes to slash again, but it's not the blade, it's actually the magma being hurled at Gregor.
What kind of magic is that? Gregor takes the stance of clarity as quickly as he can to figure out what to do with this tidal wave of magma coming at him.
So, as you focus in, Gregor, you feel your connection to the castle sort of grow deeper for a second. Almost that same sickly energy that seemed to permeate that girl with the crowbar that you encountered a little bit earlier. You feel it root around your feet and try to climb up through your body, and you exhale. And with that breath comes perfect clarity. You force the castle away, but those roots, those strands that were attempting to connect to you feel them. That corrupting magic slides out from your feet, and you see it run throughout the entire castle. This room itself seems to be created out of thin, almost ribbon-like strands of energy. And then you see it. Your eyes focusing in slow motion as this magma comes at your face, as the emotion of, why is this happening to me, wells up in your chest. You see that this magma is yet another illustration of this same magic, the very thing that's creating this castle. And you can see the point where the strands all bind. A ball or a cocoon. A collection of heat, thought, and intent that your glaive feels drawn to. With a single step and in a moment of silence, you swing forward, dividing not only the air, but the magma in front of you. It splatters to either side against the wall, instantly hardening. Except, instead of sticking there, it slowly begins to burn away, the energy returning to the castle itself.
Oh, neat. There is no spoon.
So was
Very
that
good.
you or me?
You. As I've said before, I play no part in what you are capable of. But me being around seems to accelerate your abilities, or at least your connection to the verse.
The verse? Is that...
Yes.
I've seen that before. When I was sort of exploded.
Yes. Yes. A rather disturbing part of your memory.
If I get exploded again, will I get better at seeing the verse?
I would not test that.
That's a good idea, yeah.
We'll stick with magma. It's safer.
Ashen Knight commits these words to the air, the first person who has ever said this in the history of anything. And Gregor, you begin the training process. At first, cutting these waves is actually pretty easy, shockingly. It's sort of the reverse of your normal training process. That feeling of building and burning muscle where you get stronger and stronger and stronger until you can eventually overcome a trial, it starts off relatively easy because your mind begins to click. You've been seeing this all along. You're surrounded by magic users. Part of you subconsciously has been tempered in this flame before, but as time goes on, your breathing becomes increasingly shallow, your mind begins to grow hazy, and the verse, those lines that you see, begin to grow hazy as well. Instead of striking these points directly, instead of striking through, you glance at it, you slice off a bit. Your strikes begin to get increasingly ugly as the damn heat of this room begins to get to you. And you collapse to your knees, finally.
Oh, that took more of my brain than I thought it would.
Yes. You are new to this, so this will be an exhausting process, but an excellent start.
I'm not sure if the lava everywhere helps with this, but you gotta dive in head first, they say.
I was optimistic that you had plenty of potential, and I thought it was better to just toss you into it and let instincts take over.
You
as
know,
you
it
outriders do.
it made sense once I started thinking about it as just a rock or a monster or a tree that I was trying to cut.
Good.
But
As
it
you
also
should.
really hurt my brain and my eyes.
Gregor, you feel something oddly nostalgic about this exchange. Being thrown in, letting instincts take over, and, like, honestly, the feeling of burning progress. Also burning lungs, but that's unrelated. You
Still familiar.
Still familiar. Still very familiar. This is a sensation that honestly calls up older, more buried feelings, almost something locked beneath scar tissue, and for a moment it does almost feel like you're back with the Outriders. The Ashen Knight uttering the words sort of snapping you back to the present moment a little bit.
Gregor is silently thankful that, in this case, he did not get literally thrown off the bridge.
Gregor, what?
Don't worry, Gregor. I wouldn't let two of my brother figures get horribly maimed in front of me.
Oh no. That's really nice of you.
I learned from my mistakes.
That's good. Ashen Knight just kind of plops himself down and drops the sword into the magma and lets it disappear beneath the orange. I am curious, though, Gregor. What are the Outriders precisely? I am familiar with them mostly based on your memories and through tales and legends, but from your perspective, what were they?
They were a bunch of strong people doing the right thing, killing monsters and making the world safe. And I like them a lot. And they were really cool and had a big influence on me in my childhood.
They sound great. Makes you wonder why somebody wanted to kill them all.
Ashen Knight just like slowly turns his head. Maybe ease into that a bit.
Sorry, I have trouble with tact.
For a tactical person, that's surprising. I thought you were supposed to be a mind reader. Get in their head.
Not in conversation.
I suppose you get into their head, not their heart.
Yeah. I don't have one of those.
Isn't conversation just another sort of battle, though?
Harlock suddenly becomes very invested.
I might have to look into this further.
Is that all they were? Nothing specific stands out to you?
Heroes?
You said that one.
Family?
Ashen Knight, that gives you a sick feeling, and you're not sure why.
Something does not.
You're looking a little pale.
He just kind of tilts his head. Really?
No. But your body language was pretty glum there. I'm not used to seeing you like this.
Yeah, do you even have guts to feel ill? I mean that in the most literal sense.
Ashen Knight once again puts his hand in the magma and just kind of watches it drip between his fingers. I cannot feel physically, but emotionally, yes.
Ah, that heart
I can.
thing.
You are not what I expected at all, I've got to say.
Looks can be deceiving.
Yeah.
You can trust me.
Well,
You know,
let me try some of this getting into the mind of the conversation, Gregor.
Okay.
You and I are similar in that we both come from orders, old orders that might actually be tangentially related to each other. From my research, I'm very thankful to the Hunters Guild. They taught me a lot.
We both monster hunters, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah. Yes.
Two peas in a pod.
Anything else?
Keep going.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you. Knowing that I am thankful to the Hunters Guild, I do recognize that there were flaws in said guild. That's the reason why I'm not a part of it anymore. Were there any flaws to the Outriders?
Well, they did die.
Maybe. Perhaps more what Harlock is seeking is were there individuals that could not be trusted, ones that may have led to their downfall.
For example, Hunters Guild, great at hunting monsters. Hunters Guild also. Child soldiers.
Ah!
Well, how else are children going to defend themselves?
Ah, there we go.
Oh boy. Oh.
I was a child hunter.
Okay, can you expand on that just a little bit?
Fuck!
Were you a child that hunted, or did you hunt children?
Oh, I was a child that hunted. And
That's
I guess
better.
young monsters, those don't
How many
really count
children
as
have you had to hunt? As a child, not as an adult. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Older
an
than I
adult.
expected. I should probably treat you as such.
Okay. Thank you.
So what, Harlock's gonna, like, afford Gregor 3 more years of respect now?
Yeah.
Gregor is now allowed to drink.
Well, some people got really mad at us towards the end, but I don't know why. So that was their fault, not ours. It was the church, mostly.
Are you sure there's no reason why?
Because the church lied about us and spread horrible rumors, and
And what
We're
did they
very-
say?
they said that we released monsters just to kill them and take all the glory, that sort of thing. They blamed us for all the bad things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't do that. We just killed the monsters.
Ashen Knight, when you were, rudely poking around in his memories, did you see anything that might say otherwise?
His memories are oddly precise. He has not lied.
I do try to remember things.
It shows. Ashen Knight sits up and somewhat stands up and kind of wanders away, his back turned to you. There is one part of your memory that was most intriguing to me when we were having our lovely little campfire chat.
Only one?
There
I've
were
done a
many,
lot of
but
crazy stuff.
You've done many interesting things. But there was one part that stood out to me, one that you had no involvement with, actually. The aftermath of something. He kind of curls his head around his shoulder. A great beast. A magnitude the world has never seen before. Slain by men and steel. Yet there was no merriment, no cheering, no celebration. Only sorrow and fear. Why?